Hello everyone, it is the Sean Show Season 2 Episode 22. It is the second part of Wildcard Weekend. We did have a show yesterday where we talked about the games that were on today, or at least yesterday. And now we're going to talk about the rest of the games. So there's 3 on today, and then we have 1 on tomorrow, Monday Night Football. Let's get into it. So the current playoff picture as it sits, we have 2 teams eliminated from the NFC side. As you can see there, the Panthers lost to the Rams today, and the Packers lost to the Bears. Quick little overview of those games. It was a lot closer than people would have thought. I was riding with the Carolina Panthers to win, and it looked like they were going to take that game at the end, but the LA Rams were able to score at the end of the game. Now, that means that the Panthers covered the 10.5 spread that was on them, and the over also hit on that game. Now, on the Saturday night game, the rivalry game between the Packers and the Bears came out on top with that second half and fourth quarter flourish. Packers were up 21-3 or 6 at the half, and they absolutely pissed the game away. Kicker missed 3 kicks, I believe. So yeah, we'll see what happens with them in the off-season. That means that the Bears covered the 1.5 point spread, which was actually flipping back and forth. And as they were the dogs in this one, and the over also hit for this game. So that's an interesting thing to check out. We have 2 of 2 overs hit, and we have 2+ teams covering. Now let's move on. So we have the first game for today is the Buffalo Bills going into Jacksonville. Jacksonville is favored 5.5. 51.5 point total over and under there. And then we have Rams, Philly, and then the Chargers going into New England. And then for Monday Night Football, as you can see, we have the Texans going into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. First round bye. Waiting to see who they'll play. We've got the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks, and we'll go over who might play who as we get into this. Heading off to playoff game 1, the Bills going into Jacksonville, 51.5 over, which means if they hit 52, the over hits. If they hit 51, the under hits. The Bills are 12-5 on the season. The Jags are 13-4. Jags get the home game because they won the AFC South despite anything else. Now they are favored 0.5. It's going to be 62 degrees Fahrenheit or 16 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be cold. It's not going to be freezing though. It's going to be cloudy, and there are 11-mile-an-hour winds going on. Not too hefty on the wind side, so hopefully the kicking game isn't affected too much like today's game. Now, a quick overview of the teams. Bills have been putting up 23.5 points per game on opponents, and their opponents have been scoring 21.5 roughly. They have had the 27th toughest schedule, which means they've had a fairly easy schedule. Another way to say that is that they had the 7th easiest schedule. The 5th easiest, sorry. They are 4th in total yards per game, and they are 1st in the league for rushing yards per game. James Cook cooks, and Josh Allen Superman. So that's the reason for that one. They are the 7th average for average yards given up per game, and they are 5-3 on the road. Now, interesting stat for the Bills: they are actually the number 1 passing defense, which is kind of odd to me because they do get lit up in the passing and the run game. So I'm surprised to see that they've taken the least yards per game this season through the air. But I don't really think that's a true metric of the Bills defense there. Now, on the Jacksonville Jags side, they have been putting up 27.9 points per game against opponents, so you can expect the over to hit in this game. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. opponents have been putting up 19.8 against them, so their defense slightly less adverse to taking points compared to the Bills. They have had the 21st toughest schedule, so still in the easier half of the league for schedule-wise. They are 11th total yards per game and 12th passing yards per game. Now keep in mind with that rushing yards per game or passing yards per game, I have chosen the better statistic of the two for the teams. So in this instance, the Bills had a better yards per game for rushing, and the Jacksonville Jags have had a better passing yards per game than their rushing yards per game. They are 11th in average yards given up per game on defense, and they are 7-2 at home. Both of these teams have positive records right now in their given standing on the road and then at home. Another thing to note is that the Jags have the #1 rush defense in the league. That's right, they're taking up the least rushing yards. You'd think it would be the Houston Texans, but it is actually the Jags. Now, a couple of things for this one. I think the Jags are a more complete team. They have offensive weapons. They've got receivers. They've got Bretton Strange at tight end. They've got Travis Etienne at running back. They've got their man, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. He can run the ball. He can pass the ball. He can do whatever he wants with the ball. Their defense is a good defense. They are, I would say, a complete defense. Now, on the Bills side, again, #1 passing defense. I do think the defense is a weakness for this team. And then the other weakness is their receiver core. They are somewhat like Green Bay, but weaker at receiver. So they have a lot of unique and workable pieces, but they're not very top tier, if you know what I mean. Whereas the Packers have a lot of unique different receivers, and they all can produce on any given day. The Bills, not so much. So how am I feeling on this one? I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think the Jags get some stops and possibly a takeaway. I think this is the Jags game, and I also think that the over hits. So let's move on to game number 2 on the NFC side. We've got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. 49ers are 12-5 on the season. Eagles are 11-6 on the season. They did win the NFC East, which is why they get a home game despite the 49ers having a better record. There's going to be scattered rain showers in this one, 39 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, so it is going to be quite cold, and the wind will pick up a bit at 14 miles an hour. Total over and under of 44.5. This one could go either way. The Eagles have not had the highest scoring games, whereas the 49ers, they've had high scoring games, they've had low scoring games. Their offense has been amazing. Their offense has been shut out. So it's tough to say what's going to happen with either of these teams. The 49ers do have some injuries at linebacker as well, so they are light in the middle. Now we'll go over these teams. So 25.7 points per game for the 49ers and 21.8 their opponents have been able to put on them. They have had the 20th toughest schedule, so again, still in the easier half of the schedule in terms of strength of schedule. Then we've got 7th total yards per game and 5th in passing yards per game. A lot of that, I do believe, is yards after the catch with Christian McCaffrey. They've got Juwan Johnson. They've also got George Kittle. You know, they do have a lot of weapons. Ricky Purcell also has kind of had a bit of a breakout year on his own. Now, they are 20th in average yards given up, so they're not the best side of the defense for this 49ers team, and they are 7-2 on the road, so they are very hot on the road. They are also headed by Mike Shanahan, who is possibly looking at the Head Coach of the Year award after being able to produce with both Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. Now over to the Philadelphia Eagles side, they've been putting up 22.3 points per game and taking 19.1 roughly, so they have been taking less points. I do believe their defense is a better defense. Yes, 13th average yards given up. And again, they are a team that knows how to win gritty games. A lot of their games are low-scoring affairs, but on any given day, they can run the ball very well. On any given day, they can pass the ball very well. They have had the 26th toughest schedule, so not the toughest schedule. They are 24th over total yards per game, which is tough because, again, it is a kind of a grimy offense and they just win games. The offense has looked really struggly at times, but again, if they can get the run game going, they're sweet. If they can get the pass game going, they're pretty sweet. They've got two real big bodies in the receiving core. AJ Brown is an absolute freak, and then you have Dallas Goedert, who usually tears it up down the middle as well. They are 5-3 at home, and they have the 18th best rushing defense in terms of yards per game. The Eagles are favored 5.5, and I think that's a lot, but I also think it rides on their defense and also the explosive power of their offense. Again, the 49ers against really good defense like the Seahawks in week 18, they could only get 3 points up. I do believe they've had struggles throughout the season. If they can't get Christian McCaffrey going, it's kind of really rough for them. I would like to ride with the Niners here, but I believe I'm going with the Eagles. I think the Eagles just win. Alright, let's move on to the next game. Oh, in terms of over-under, again, I think this goes either way. It's probably the under here. But if the Niners have a good game, it's definitely the over. Eagles win, under. 49ers win, over. That's all I'm saying. Next. One more thing to mention about this game. With the 49ers being the lowest active seed right now, if they win this game, then they do need to verse the Seattle Seahawks. That has not boded well for them. I believe if the Eagles win, then they verse the Bears. Yes, I do believe that's correct. I believe that's right. Possibly. No, the Rams would verse the Bears. I don't know. I haven't really looked back. Let's bring the playoff bracket back up. Okay. I am slightly confused here, but I'm not going to waste any more time on this. So let's keep going. Now, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going into New England, 45.5 points over. The Patriots are favored by 3.5. The Chargers are 11-6, and the Patriots are 14-3, almost being able to clinch that number one spot, but they could not clinch it out. The Denver Broncos did take it. Now, there are chances of like scattered snow showers. It is going to be 33 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0.5 degrees Celsius, near freezing. 9 mile an hour winds. So in these two later games, the winds are quite light. But again, they are very, very cold games. Now, the Chargers have been putting up 21.6, and oppositions have been able to put on 20 points against them. The Pats have a larger spread there with 28.8 points being put on opponents, and then opponents only being able to put on 18.8. A little side note on that, the Patriots have had the easiest schedule by far and large. If you do look at the numbers for this year's recalculated strength of schedule, late season. And the Chargers have also had a fairly easy run with the 28th toughest schedule, or in other words, the 5th or 4th easiest schedule. They are 12th in total yards per game, whereas the Patriots are 3rd for total yards per game. Chargers have a better rush offense in terms of yards per game at 12th in the league, and the Patriots are 4th in passing yards per game, and I do believe their running is kind of up there as well. 5th on average yards given up for the Chargers side, and then 8th, even though they have had the easiest schedule, average yards given up to opponents. Chargers are 5-3 on the road. Patriots are 6-3 at home. This is the evening game. I think the over hits quite easily in this game. It would be interesting to see how the Patriots do against a very highly ranked defense right here. Got two really good head coaches with Jim Harbaugh and Mike Vrabel on the Patriots side. Two very good quarterbacks, two very identical quarterbacks as well. This will be a fun game to watch. I think the Chargers can take this one here. I do like them as the dog here, so we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. And in the final game of Wildcard Weekend, we've got the Texans going into Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. A very low over and under because both of these defenses are pretty good. Theoretically, the Steelers' defense is very good, but in practice, that hasn't shown up this whole season. But again, they have a very high upside on the defense when the defense is clapping. Now, Steelers are 10-7, Texans are 12-5. Texans are favored going into Pittsburgh here by 2.5 points. Texans are 5-3 on the road, and Steelers are 6-3 at home. Similar numbers in terms of points per game. The Texans did have a really shoddy start to the season, and then Davis Mills came in, got some wins up, and then CJ Stroud came back, and they just started humming. So that number's a little bit skewed. The Steelers have been really hot and cold this season, I gotta say. You haven't really seen too much consistency. They have been playing better towards the end of the season, which is just Aaron Rodgers football. Now, Texans are holding opponents to 17.4 points per game, and the Steelers are holding teams to 22.8, so much closer games on their side, as you can see. This is a interesting one. Like, Texans have had the 5th toughest schedule, and the Steelers have had the 14th toughest schedule. So the Texans are really battle tested in terms of their defense, considering their defense is the number 1 in the league, whereas the Steelers, with that up and down performance they've been having all season, is 26th average for yards given up to offenses. I'm sorry. Now, the Steelers, they have had some troubles tackling. Look, if some of the big-bodied receivers that the Texans do have are able to get into some open space, they might make quite big gains after contact. Again, Steelers really need to swarm to the ball and tackle up here, get some wrap-up going. Now, in terms of offenses, Houston Texans are 18th yards per game total overall, and the Steelers are 25th. So the Texans have been able to put up some more production. They are a more explosive offense as well, being the younger offense that they are. And they are 14th in passing yards per game, whereas the Steelers' best stat was 22nd at rushing yards per game. It's going to be a clear night. 31 degrees Fahrenheit and 0.5 degrees Celsius, so again near freezing in Acrisure Stadium. 8-mile-an-hour winds as well, so it's going to be a very, very cold game. Not too windy, to say the least. I do like the Houston Texans here. Heinz Field is not a very friendly stadium to visiting teams, so it's going to be quite a difficult game for the Houston Texans. But again, I just think there's too much of a roll the dice situation with the Steelers, both on offense and defense. if they are both humming, then they can definitely win the game. But the Houston Texans are just more consistent, and I think that's what's important, particularly in the playoffs. Now, a couple of things. The Houston Texans, they do pick off most of their quarterbacks that they verse. I think it's only been maybe 2 to 3 games this season that they did not get an interception. The thing is that they can give up big yardage to number 1 receivers. I think they've been gashed 3 or 4 times this season by true number 1 receivers, and DK Metcalf is back for the Steelers. And keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers is the type of quarterback that likes to have a number 1 receiver. He's not so much into passing the ball around or sharing it about so much when he does have that elite receiver on his side. I think the Texans win it here. I think it's probably the under, but this one could go either way again. Do they cover? It could really come down to a field goal, to be honest. But in all honesty, if we look at the spread for points per game and opponent points per game, the Texans do have a larger spread there, and I think that's going to be kind of the tail of the tape here. Steelers have a good front, but I don't believe they really get pressure that much as well. So the Texans will likely have time to throw the ball, which is what they need when you have an explosive offense who can have that big play ability. Now, finally, we'll go over to the bets, the final section of tonight's show, or this morning's show, depending where you are. And let's go over it. So, we got our favorite dogs. Unfortunately, Carolina Panthers did not win today. They were my favorite dogs. I really did like them in this game, and they really showed up. It's just unfortunate that the defense couldn't hold up at the end of the game there. Now, we've got the San Francisco 49ers. I did say this game could go either way. If they are humming on offense, then they can definitely win by quite a large score. But again, if the Philadelphia Eagles is able to stop Christian McCaffrey, and I do believe they have one of the best secondaries in the league. Both of their cornerbacks are absolutely amazing. Go and watch some Cooper DeJean highlights. Just go and watch some of his snaps. The guy is insane. Again, this one's a kind of a half favorite dog here. This game could go either way, but myself, I am leaning towards the Eagles still. San Francisco is my favorite dogs. Then I've got the LA Chargers. I like the Chargers here. Again, the New England Patriots have not had a very difficult schedule in terms of strength of schedule. It has been the easiest across the league. Again, they do get 4 very, very easy games against the Jets and the Dolphins. And then I do believe they did not do amazing last season, which means I think they were 3rd in their division, if memory serves me right, which does mean that you do get a couple of games against 3rd placed opponents in their respective division, which means you can get some very, very nice and easy matchups. So it's definitely not the New England Patriots' fault that they got the draw that they got, but it is something to take into consideration. LA Chargers do have a better defense than any other team that they've played this season, and I know they do get to play the Bills twice a year, but still, that defense, I would not call it a great defense. I like the Chargers here. 2 similar quarterbacks. One's more experienced. One is on an MVP pace, though. I think the Chargers find a way here. I really, really do think they do. My favorite dogs. Now, over and unders. This week, I had 3 over and unders going. The Rams and Panthers, they did hit their over and under, as I mentioned. And as well, the Packers and the Bears did hit their over in their game. So, we could see some very high-scoring games for the rest of the weekend. Jags at Bills, 51.5 is the total over and under, and I do really like the over there. I think this could be a 70+ point game. The Chargers and the Patriots total over and under of 45.5. Again, I do really like this. Both teams can put up a lot of points. And despite the Chargers having a better defense than the Patriots have faced this season, Mike Vrabel is a genius level coach. Drake May has been slinging, and I think they can get on the board. 45.5 points, I think definitely can hit at least 50. Now, prop bets for the Sunday games. Actually, I've put Monday Night Football in here as well. I've got 3 props for each game, I think. No, I don't. I only have 1 prop for the Niners versus the Eagles. So let's go over them. Got Josh Allen for 38.5 over rushing yards. In that same game, the other quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, over 25.5 rushing yards. Both of these guys run the ball when they need to. Both of them are very big-bodied. Both of them can run touchdowns in it. It might be worth getting a touchdown parlay for both Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, as well as their rushing overs. Then in that same game, we've got Travis Etienne to hit the over of 64.5 rushing, simply because the Bills' rush defense is not amazing. So there is that. Then for the Eagles versus the Niners, I've got Brock Purdy to throw an interception. Again, those cornerbacks are kind of insane. And when Brock Purdy hasn't looked good this season, the offense has not looked very good. The Eagles can bring a lot of pressure as well. They can make Brock uncomfortable. So we'll see what happens here in this game, but I think they can likely pick him off. Next, going over to Chargers versus Patriots, I've got Ladd McConkey for the over of 45.5 receiving yards. Gonzalez will not be on Ladd McConkey. He will very likely be on Keenan Allen. Ladd McConkey can pick up those big 15, 20-yard plays that can move an offense forward down the field. He can probably hit this 40.5 receiving yards in 2 to 3 catches, so keep an eye out for that one. I like the over there. Then we've got Hunter Henry becoming a big part of this Patriots offense, and I think they will probably need to lean on him a little bit going against a better defense than they're used to, especially in the passing side of things. Hunter Henry over 4.5 receptions. I think they feed him a little bit. He's a big-bodied man, been in the league for quite a year, and he was a very top pick in the past. I believe he actually got drafted by the Chargers. It looked like he was going to be the replacement for Antonio Gates, but things just didn't seem to work out, and the Patriots ended up picking him up. So it's interesting little comeback game there for Hunter Henry. Then we've got Justin Herbert for a rushing over of 28.5 yards. I didn't look at Drake May's rushing over. You could probably take that as well, though. Now going to the final game of Wildcard Weekend, Monday Night Football. Texans going into Steelers. I've got Nico Collins to pick up a touchdown, that big-bodied receiver getting in the end zone. I've got Aaron Rodgers to throw an interception as well. He is great, but he is not averse to throwing interceptions to good defenses. And again, the Houston Texans defense has picked off almost every quarterback that they've played this season. Then again, I do have DK Metcalf for 56.5 over receiving yards. Like I mentioned before, the Texans defense is the number 1 in the league. It has picked off almost every quarterback that they've played, but there have been a few games where those true number 1 receivers have gashed them for over 100. So I like DK Metcalf with Aaron Rodgers here with the over of 56.5. And if you wanted to add another little cheeky one, Pat Freiermuth is back and healthy, and expect him to hit his over in receiving yards as well. Okay guys, that was the Sean Show episode 22, Wildcard Weekend Part 2. Hopefully you enjoy the games. Hopefully you enjoy the games today. They were very good. Just as a review, the Packers game, look, the being a Packers fan, it did suck to watch, but in kind of true fashion for the last couple of seasons, or at least this season, the Bears played their style of football, which is you know, kind of come back at the end of the game and really put it on and make up the score and take the win with good defensive play and strong explosive offense. And then the Packers did the typical style of their play, which is come out hot, put up a lot of points, and then never truly step on the neck of the opponents, allowing them to come back and making games too closer than they need to be. With the Rams and the Panthers, I knew this one was going to be a grimy game and very favored towards the Panthers. They almost did win the game, like I mentioned, but the Rams kind of got over a pretty nasty speed bump there. I think a lot of people underestimated the Panthers in this wild card weekend. So hopefully there's an uptick from them next season. I like to see them do a lot better. It's always good when the NFL is competitive across the board and we do get to see more teams have a shot to shine, as they say. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the Sean Show, episode 22. I'm going to enjoy the football. I hope you enjoy the football. And then we will come back and do a wrap-up later on in the week. And then a quick touch on the games for the next round of the playoffs. It's going to be good. It's going to be hot. We'll see what happens. Alright, guys. Peace out. Enjoy the football. Hope your bets come through. Hope my bets come through. Take care. Also, if you haven't subscribed, you probably should. Just on an end note there. If you can like the video as well, that would be very helpful. Drop a comment telling me not to say this stuff. Catch you next week.